that going. And now I'm going to turn on my screen. All right. So I think we're all set here. Well, let's see. Looks like we got at least a couple people. I think Stacy and Ethan, this is your first time, right?
Yep.
And I think Harsh and
Yes.
Alex have been here before. So what we'll do is we'll try to cover the basics of what you need to know to just get started with SalesNexus and start setting it up for your business. Try to focus on that first, and then we'll try to save some time at the end for questions. But that said, don't hesitate to stop me as we go and ask questions in context, because that's better for everybody, I think. So also, I am going to record this so that we can send you the recording later. So just FYI, if you want me to send you the recording, just put your email in the chat. Okay, so let's get started. There's kind of two different types of customers that SalesNexus helps primarily. Either you're trying to automate everything, and just literally never talk to customers, like you're in an e-commerce business or something like that. So you really need the marketing automation part of SalesNexus. Or you're in a business where every transaction involves human beings talking to each other, and you really have to build relationships with customers. And of course, that's where you need the marketing automation and the CRM and kind of the task management for your sales team and notes and all of that. So if you fall into one of those two categories, then you're in the right place. We're going to show you how to do that today. The way we get you there, and this is what we're going to focus on today, is we're going to help you organize the customers and group them together in ways that make sense for you, and then trigger action based on, new information coming into the CRM. So, you can see over here just a generic funnel graphic, right? So as I move from the qualified lead to now I've scheduled a demo, we're at the negotiation stage, or whatever those steps are in your world, automatically trigger the right follow-ups and the right email messages and text messages and whatever else needs to happen. So that's kind of the goal. Before we jump into the training, just so everybody knows, we're here to help. Don't be shy about reaching out. You can go to salesnexus.com/support, and you're going to find all of our help articles, training videos, everything in the application broken down into little 3 to 5 minute little videos that you can watch. And as well as there's a training section there on that support page. And that's where you can access previously recorded sessions like this, and a few other kind of more. There's a deep dive into email marketing, and also the schedule of upcoming trainings. I'll show you the knowledge base in a minute. That's right inside SalesNexus. Of course, you can go to our YouTube channel, and all the same videos are there. But also, you can just email support@salesnexus.com. And this is not like other help desks that you're used to. You can send an email into support@salesnexus.com, and on average, in less than 2 hours, you're getting a reply, and in less than a day, your issue has been resolved. So there's no limits, there's no extra costs, so don't be shy about asking questions. And then finally, if you don't mind giving us a review, that's really super helpful to us. It helps other people find SalesNexus. And so if you're willing to give us a review, we'll give you a free upgrade when you do that. So if you give us a positive review, send us a screenshot of it and we'll upgrade your account. All right, so let's get into it here. Let me get into SalesNexus. Okay, so I'm on a customer record right here, and this is the goal. We're trying to organize this screen so that when you're working with a given customer, you're not having to jump through a whole bunch of pages to figure out what's going on. Everything you need to know is right here in one place. So as an example, imagine that I'm in some kind of a, financial or investment type business. So I need to have some fields here where I can quickly categorize people. What are their, investor likes and dislikes? Have they ever had a bankruptcy? I guess that's important. What kind of insurance are they looking for? Um, what kind of death benefit do they need on their insurance? Those are the kind of questions that I need to know about my customers because I'm in the investment business or the wealth management business, whatever. And then over on the right, I can have even more stuff, more detailed things that I can learn about my customers, right? And so that's how you organize things. You might on the right have different tabs for different products or services, or maybe even different industries that you sell into. And then on the left, you have your basic info that you need to know about everybody, right? So it's the great thing about SalesNexus is it's super easy to do that. You don't need a programmer. You don't need a consultant. You just go here to edit layout. And so I'm just going to show you real quickly as an example. I'm going to take out all that investment type stuff. And we're going to pretend now that we're in some kind of an industrial business. And I'm going to go down here and find some fields about, what type of equipment do they have and what kind of generator and what kind of pump, stuff that you need to know if you're manufacturing stuff and things like that. So now I hit save, and there it is. Now I got type of gas pump, type of generator, type of equipment right here on my screen so that I can check that off. And over here on the right, here's a different set of fields about, how many trucks in your fleet and other types of things that you might need to know about your customer. So that's the idea. You're going to lay the system out so that everything you need to know is right there in one place. And if there's a lot of fields already built into the system, that are kind of generic place to start, but you'll probably want to create some of your own or customize the drop down items, that are in the lists. So to do that, you go up here to settings at the top, organize and customize. And then here you have all the fields that are already in your database, and you can make changes to the properties of any of them, or you can just create a new one by hitting add new field here. And then, let's see, size of plant, let's say. So I'm, in that industrial business, and I want to drop down that tells me, how big their plant is. And so when I save that, now over here on the right, I've got an area where I can put in the drop down items. So let's say less than 10K square feet. And then let's say 10 to 50K square feet. And then we'll do more than 50K square feet. And, that's just arbitrary. You obviously will put your own stuff in there. And then that's all here, and you can change it later if you want to or need to. But now we've created a field, right? Now, when we go back to a customer record, we can add that field. Go back to edit layout here. And let me find that field. I have to be able to spell to find it. There we go. There's that field. Put it on the top so we can find it easily. And now that's right there, right? So that's all there is to it. So in fact, I'll mention real quickly, we have a guide that we call the 4 Steps to Market Domination. That's a great guide for helping you think about what are the fields I need in my system to organize my customers. So look for that on our website. I'll just real quickly just say the way I like to start that
Yeah, I know.
conversation is
Yeah,
ask
I
yourself,
feel
what are the qualifying questions that you
He
need to
wasn't
have?
ready when I came home.
it. Yeah.
And those are the fields. You need a place to put the answers to those questions. Anybody have any questions about that so far? No? Okay, good. All right. So now we've got our customer screen organized. Now we want to take it up one notch, and we want to go here to contacts and
You make it
create
for me,
lookup.
make it for Monday.
Yeah, I'll
Somebody's
do. Yeah,
Mhm.
if it's available.
I'm going to go ahead and mute them. So on the create lookup page, here's where you can create any kind of a custom search. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to do things like, when they tell me that the size of plant is more than 50,000 square foot, and I don't know, the lot that they're on is more than 25 acres, or some set of really specific criteria in your world that make somebody a super awesome prospect, right? Well, you can build that query here using criteria like this, and then you search, and I'm probably not going to get any results because I haven't put all that data in there. But once you've done the search, you can save it, and I'll just call it large plants. And now I'll show you in a minute how you can use that. But the point is, let me pull up one that we've already created here. So here's all my customers that have renewals due. So I got 3,000 customers that are due for renewals. Like if I'm in an insurance business or something where I have an annual contract I got to renew, so that might be an important list for me to have handy, right? So when you save that list, it appears in this drop down, or I'm sorry, when you save that lookup, it appears in this drop down. But then also now when you go to contacts and view all contacts, it's in this drop down also. So it's super easy to just come in and say, let me find my renewing clients and let me dive in and start calling them, or put them on a campaign or whatever. Or maybe it's just show me all my prospects, the leads that I haven't talked to yet, or I'm working in my pipeline or whatever. So that's the point here, is we want to create these lists using the criteria that you've set up in the form of these fields. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions about that so far?
And if you're maintaining different industries and based on the layout that you use for the customer, is there like a loophole somewhere? Or
I'm not sure what you're asking. What do you mean?
like if your customers, right, they're based on different industries. So they're not going to have all the exact same layout, right? Different criteria.
Right.
Is you just have like one common denominator that kind of looks for all, or is there, I don't know, industry?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And so technically speaking, in SalesNexus, the left side of the screen can be customized for each user. So for you individually, right? But it's going to be the same no matter which customer you're looking at. So the way most people do things is the things you need to know about everybody go on the left side. And then over on the right, you can create additional tabs for those different industries or products or areas of the country, or however you want to break things down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and your lookup can do the right side as well. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's right. All the fields
Okay.
doesn't matter where you put them on the screen, they still work the same everywhere else. And then also, while we're talking about this drop down here, you'll find notes here. So this is where you'll see the whole history of everything that's happened with this customer, right? And then activities will be, follow-up calls that you have scheduled with this customer, or emails that, they're on some email campaign and they have emails that are going to be sent in the future. You'll see that here on this activities tab. And then also you got the, if I can get it to come up, sales tab, where you'll see both closed sales and current sales opportunities as well. Okay, so now, we kind of got our customers organized. One other little detail is to load your customers in. You go here to contacts and import contacts. And here's where you'll have a CSV file or an Excel that you can grab. And I'll just load one up kind of partially here just so you guys can see some of the options there. What the system's doing here is it's looking at the column headings in my file, which is this left column, and then trying to map it to fields in SalesNexus. And you can see it got some of it right, but a lot of them where it says no mapping, that's basically the system saying, I'm not sure where to put this, right? So you can go through and, clarify that and update the mapping here and change it and map things to different fields in your database, your custom fields, etc. The system will automatically duplicate check by email address. So if you're trying to put a new contact in that is already in there based on the email, it won't let you do it. It'll just ignore that one. You can change that. So you might want to do it by last name, first name, and title or something, and not email. That's up to you. And then one other quick note, you can update existing contacts by using this update feature here. I don't want to burn too much time on that right now, but it's a real powerful feature when you're trying to add new data to contacts that you already have in the system. Okay, so we've got customers in the system. We've got different, sort of segments or stages organized in the system or in our customer list. Now what we want to do is create processes to nurture all of them. So everybody's getting messages from you, but each person's getting the appropriate message given their relationship with you and the sort of the status of their relationship with you. And so the way we do that is first, we're going to create some emails. So you go up here to campaigns, email templates, and here you have all of these pre-designed templates that you can start with, and you just drag in your image and your text and so on. Or you go to My Templates, and that's where you'll find all of the ones you've already created. I will just real quickly create a text image or text email and just show you the basics. The email editor is real easy and robust. There's really nothing you can't do in terms of designing your email. If you want it to just be pure text, then all you got to do is click in here, change the text itself, and that's it. Let's see. So one, you just start typing here. You can see when you click into a text box, you get this little toolbar so you can format everything. There's some more controls over here on the right. But one thing to make sure and mention is you can insert mail merge fields. So like we were talking about earlier, if I'm in the insurance business and I need to send out an email letting people know that their contract's about to renew, right? Your policy renews on, and then I go here and I choose the renewal field, that renewal date field, and it's going to mail merge that in there for me. Why can't I find that? I'm not able to spell today. So it puts in the right code for you. Now everybody's going to get a personalized email. And you can see down here, you can also mail merge in your information. So that's really handy if you're managing a sales team. You can create one set of emails that everyone can use, and the system automatically figures out who each customer's salesperson is and puts their information in here. Now, if we want to add some more to this template, we want to add an image. So we go over here to content, and then you have all these different types of content you can add in, and you just drag that over to and place it, and it puts in a little block for you, and you hit browse, and here you have all the images that you've previously uploaded, or you can upload a new one over here. I'll just put in this nice one of this little family, and here we can drag this slider around to resize it. If we want to put in a button, click here, drag over the button, change the text. And over here on the right, I would put the link that I want that button to take the visitor to. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The systems, the email editor is real easy to work with. A couple of things that you need to know about though, over here under actions. If you go to preview, that's just going to let you look at the email. What's it going to look like in the real world, right? You want to make sure and check the mobile view, because your emails will be looked at least half the time on a mobile device. So you want to make sure and check that and just see that that image isn't too big or whatever. And then if we exit that, we go back to actions. We have send test, which that's just, hey, send it to me. Let me look at it in my inbox before I send it to some customers, right? So you just put your email address in there and hit send, and now it's going to show up in your inbox. And then save as template, that lets you save a copy, right? So if I'm creating a ongoing drip campaign, right, a sequence, then maybe I want a copy of this template, exact same design, but I'm going to change the text a little bit. So that's how you would do that. I hit save, and now it's going to open that new one up in the editor, and I can go and make some changes to the text. Still haven't heard from you. Let's see. So now we'll save that. Let's say we're done with that. We're ready to roll. I go over here to start campaign with this template. And what that does is open it up in our template editor. I'm sorry, we're in the template editor. It opens it up in our campaign builder. So first I got to give it a subject line. And then I give it a name. And next, and now we're in the template builder. And so if I'm trying to just send one email out to a list of people, then I'm basically done. I'm ready to send it out. I just save this and hit save and begin campaign. And we'll do that in a second. But the power of SalesNexus is that you don't have to just send one email at a time. I can create more of a sequence, right? So I can go here and say add. And I'm going to say now I want to send a second email 3 days later. So here's where you kind of set up that sequence and then put in a subject. And then choose a different template. And now I've got 2 emails in my sequence, right? And then you can keep going. You can add as many as you want, and they don't have to all be emails. One of them could be a text message. So I say text or SMS, add, and now I'm going to say not 50, but 5. And then, you know, I'll just grab an existing template that we've previously created. But, you know, it's the same as creating the text in an email. You can use the mail merge fields over here to personalize each text, right? So now I've got a text message on the 5th day, and then maybe the last thing I want to do is column, or I can add a webhook into my campaign or my sequence as well. I'm just going to choose call and add that. And here you can choose what it's about. Let's call it a follow-up call. And then we're going to make that on the 7th day. And so now I've got this little 4-step dance, right? 4-step sequence. So
I have a quick question.
yes, ma'am.
Once you got your campaigns out, more specifically with emails, and then you have your drip kind of ready to go, it's saved and you've timed it to what days you want it to go out. Can you edit it any, or do you have to kind of restart the whole drip for the certain campaign?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Email itself, and if a customer comes back and says, you know what, please, unsubscribe me, or maybe you already got the sale and you don't need to send them an email anymore, can you edit the customer as well?
Yeah, you can do it on an individual customer basis, but once you put a customer or a list of customers onto one of these campaigns, there's no, it's a complicated question to answer. It's a good one. If I go back and edit this campaign, it won't change the sequence for those people who have already been put onto the sequence. It'll only change it for the people that will be put on it in the future. Does that make sense?
So once it's saved as drip, based on whatever day you want it to go out, it's no point of return. It's going to go out unless it's completely deleted.
You can turn it off. There's a couple of ways, there's a couple of things I'll show you in a sec. Okay. To turn it off for a customer or for everybody, if you want to. So when we've got this ready, we say save, and see here we can go save and begin campaign, or we can automate the campaign. We'll do save and begin first. We'll come back to automate. So when I save and begin, now I'm scheduling the campaign, and I could choose, okay, we're going to do it next Monday. It's going to start at 8 a.m. And here it says current lookup 991. That's the last list of people. When we were looking at those saved lists, that was that list of prospects. That's just the working list, the last list I accessed in the system. Or I can choose here, saved lookup. And now all those same saved lists that we did or worked on are here. So I would go here and I would find my renewals due. There it is. And you see it says 3,087 people. I say begin campaign. It confirms it. And now everybody on that list is going onto that campaign. And it's all starting on Monday, and it's set it and forget it. I could be on vacation all next week and all of that's happening. Everybody's getting personalized emails and text messages and all that. All I need to know is that the 7 days later, so not next Monday, but the Monday after, I'm going to come in and look at my task list, and I'm going to have a whole bunch of calls, right? Because that's the way we set up that campaign. Now, to get back to your question earlier, if you go into a specific customer record and you go to the activities tab, you can see everything that's currently scheduled for this customer, right? And you can clear out any one of these tasks. So if you just want to make sure they don't get this one, you could just clear it out with this check mark. Or you can go here to see more activities. And when you click X to delete a task, it's going to ask you, do you want to just delete that one or all the activities in that campaign? So that's one way you would do what you were asking about. Just take this person off of that campaign is by doing what I just did. Or you can go up here to campaigns and you see right here, stop a campaign.
Yeah,
that-
going per the customer is way easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so now we've created a campaign. We've sent it out to a list of people. Anybody have any questions about that so far? Nope. Okay. Well, so a couple of things. Number one, notice here on my task list, I'm Mary, the sales rep, right? And, it's first thing in the morning and I'm having my coffee and I'm ready to get on the phone and do my calling, right? And that's one of the goals here is SalesNexus is going to tell you, here's the people that need a call today, right? But you notice right here, click notification for 2 or 3 of these guys. What that means is Adrian and Al and Matt, they weren't on my call list yesterday. They were getting emails from us, and SalesNexus is alerting me and saying, hey, Adrian just clicked on one of your emails. You might want to give him a call, right? And man, I tell you what, that works as a prospecting technique every time it's tried, but there's a detail, and that is it doesn't work if you wait and call them tomorrow, because you know how it is, right? We're all getting so many emails, and if I sleep and play with my kids and eat and everything else tonight, I'm not going to remember your email if I don't already know you, right? But the fact that I got your email, I don't know who you are, I opened it up, I clicked on it to go to your website, that's a pretty strong signal that there's something about your email that interests me. And so if you call me right away, I might still be on your website, right? I'm going to remember the email. So it's a really easy way to turn a cold call into a warm call, but you have to make the calls quickly. That what I say is, ideally, you want to make that call. If they click in the morning, call them in the morning. If they click in the afternoon, call them that afternoon. Same day for sure. Definitely don't wait till tomorrow. There's exceptions to those rules, of course, but in general. So that's one important technique with those campaigns. Now, let's go automate. Let's go here to automation plans. And, like we were talking about earlier, you could set up a list of people that have very large plants and whatever, right? That make them a hot opportunity for you, right? Or you can go here and create an automation plan. And it works very much the same as creating a lookup. You're just choosing fields and the criteria. And then down here, you're saying, when a contact meets these criteria, put them on this campaign, right? So now, instead of you going and doing a lookup and saying, put all these 500 people on this campaign, the system's doing it for you as things change in the CRM. So, you can use it for something like this, which is kind of obvious, a hot prospect. And you notice here, this is one where we have those click notifications turned on. Or you can use it for, a web lead, right? So somebody just filled out your form on your website, right? So let's take a look at an example of that. So I might say, when a new lead comes in and the lead source is equal to website, then I'm just going to put them on this drip campaign, right? So lots you can do with this. Obviously, it's all going to depend on how you build those fields in the first place, and triggering action at the right time. So now we've got contacts organized, we've got campaigns and sequences, and we've got automation set up. So now life gets really simple for your sales team, because like we talked about earlier, they come in the morning, they go to their task list, and SalesNexus tells them who needs a call, right? And so here's Adam. he just filled out the form on the website, and that's why he's showing up here, right? Because he just got one of those campaigns just got triggered. So now I click in, and everything that he filled out in the form is right here, front and center, right? I click, it dials my phone. I get him on the phone. I start asking questions. I start filling out these fields. And once I'm done with that call, because I filled out these fields, they could have triggered some automation. So based on the conversation I had with Adam, the right follow-up is already happening, right? I don't have to do anything else. I just hit next, and I go to Adrian, and I do it again. Click, dial, start filling out fields, and the right follow-up starts happening, right? Maybe in Adrian's case, there's some special something I want to email him based on the conversation. So I click here, email template, and I choose the right, pre-designed email. If you want to, you can sit here and make changes to the text before you send it to personalize it a little bit. And then you hit send, and out it goes. And now I hit next and do it again, right?
Can you
When
set
I
an
call out,
automation?
what's that?
Can you set an automation plan to a certain employee? So like if they meet certain criteria and they're a really hot lead and you're like, hey, I want Kevin to have this now, and it's on his taskbar and he just immediately sees it?
Yeah, for sure. So like in the case of a web lead, right? Maybe you have, 10 outside salespeople who aren't going to be, sitting at SalesNexus all day, but you got one inside sales or business development rep or whatever you call it. So you would go into that campaign, and let me find the right one. Oh man, I thought I knew the right one. Doesn't matter. I'll just use one of the examples. So in these, in this case, in your example, I might have a call at the beginning of this, right? So I'm going to go ahead and add that in my campaign and say on 0 days, I want to have a task, new web lead. And here I can specifically identify, okay, Sally's going to get that task every time, right? Whereas in every other email might come from me, or another thing you can do in a sales team context is you can choose contacts record manager. And what that means is the owner of a given lead will automatically be the from address of the email. Or in the case of a call, that task would automatically get assigned to that sales rep. So each customer is getting calls and emails from their sales rep, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I was talking more on the automations plans itself, like because you're having a running automation plan based on like if they did a website click and they clicked on your email and let's just say they opened your text, right? It's going to get triggered that, and it's going to get sent to Kevin saying like, hey, this person just did a 3-step, I don't know what you would call it, but it would alert them, if any.
Yeah, well, but there's two places you can control that. One is in the campaign that is triggered by the automation, right? That's where you choose
Yeah, I see that.
who the task will be assigned to. But then separately, when you create the automation, you could make that part of your criteria. Like when this pulls up, you could say, when their ID status is changed to client and their record manager, meaning their sales rep, why can't I find that? Whatever. The record manager is equal to, Sally, right? Then trigger this specific campaign for Sally, right? So I'm not sure exactly
Yeah.
where.
No, yeah, that answered my question.
Okay, good. All right. So yeah, so let's see. We've covered the automation of the campaigns. So now the idea here is your team is able to come in and make a lot of calls in a very short amount of time. And it's, if you organize things in this way, you will be surprised at how fast you can go. Because if you notice, when I'm going through this with each customer, I'm not jumping around through a whole bunch of different screens to take care of one customer, right? So it's just simple. You're able to focus on the customer relationship and go very fast. When we hire salespeople at SalesNexus, the first sort of battle I have to fight is they never believe me when I tell them how many calls they can make in an hour. They just don't think it's possible, right? And I'm telling you right now, you can make 50 to 100 calls in an hour when you get things organized like this. And that's really important, right? If you're in a sales team environment where you manage a lot of salespeople, obviously that matters a lot. But also, if you're just a small business owner, the problem you have is you only have a little bit of time every day to actually work on selling, right? You're trying to run your business the rest of the day. So you got to be able to get in there, make those calls quickly. Maybe you got 30 minutes or an hour to make, who knows how many calls, right? So it's got to be quick. And then as you're going through doing that, the system's making sure the follow-up is taking place. If these changes that I just made to Al's record trigger some new campaign, the emails and the text message just happen. I don't even have to worry about it. And the tasks are just going to show up on my task list, a couple of days from now, whenever it's appropriate, right? So that's the holy grail, so to speak. The other thing that we should touch on real quick is connecting to your website. Well, actually, two things that are important kind of setup factors. Number one, with the emails, you do need to set up what we call DKIM, and that's just basically authenticating that the emails we're sending on your behalf are really for you. And so junk filters and, the internet in general doesn't think it's a scam or a spoof or whatever. And just make sure your emails go to the inbox. So you go up here to settings and you go to email, and over here on the left, you got set up DKIM. You put in your domain right here, and then you'll hit save, and it'll come back and give you this little code that you just copy, and then you'll go to your DNS and create a text record and just paste that code into that text record. You can click right here, and there's detailed instructions on how to do this. There's actually 4 steps. You're going to set up DKIM, SPF, a CNAME, and you also want to make sure and set up DMARC, which isn't really related to SalesNexus, but it is becoming more important now. Google and Outlook and everybody's making a big deal out of it. But that's all in this article. So that allows you to send emails from your company domain, your company address, email address, right? So that's important. And then the other thing is connecting to your website. If you go to settings and then integrations and then website, here, what you'll do is you'll first choose the fields in SalesNexus that correspond to the fields in your web form, right? So if you only have their name, phone number, and email, that's all you're asking them to put into the form, then you would get rid of the rest of this stuff, right? Or maybe you have a more detailed form where they're providing you with a lot of, very specific data. As long as you got a SalesNexus field for that, you put it over here, and you could even put in sales fields. And then once you've done that, you give it a name, And then here, what you're doing is you're going to map these SalesNexus fields to the name of the field in your web form. So there's some help articles that will help you figure out what the name is. If it depends on the web platform you're using as to how difficult that is. But most of the time it's about like this, just kind of copy and paste whatever's in the web form. Here, you see I have lead source and status. Those are important fields that I use to organize my customers in my SalesNexus database, but it's not something I've got in the form. I'm not asking the person to fill out and tell me what their lead source is, right? Or maybe I've got a field, how did you hear about us, right? But in this case, what I'm going to do is say constant. And so I'm going to say website and constant for status. And I'm going to say new lead. And that way, now I know every time this form is filled out, when the lead shows up in SalesNexus, their lead source will be website and their status will be new lead. So it'll be easy for me to group those and trigger automations and all of that, right? So once I've done that, I save and generate script. I always forget it. It won't let me do that in my demo database here. But when you do in your account, it'll give you a little JavaScript that you just copy and you go to your website and paste that JavaScript into the form so that when the visitor hits submit, it calls that JavaScript, and that's it. You're done. Now the leads start going right into SalesNexus. And there's, again, a nice little help article that will walk you through exactly how to do this and all the kind of nuances, for different types of web platforms. Anybody have any questions about that?
Craig, I had just a quick question for you.
Yes,
if somebody actually signs up to your website, is it possible to be alerted by text versus it just going into the system?
Yeah, sure. That would be either way, whether it's, you're being alerted as a task in SalesNexus, or you're getting an email, or you're getting a text message. Either way, it would all be part of what we've already looked at. You create the campaign, and then you create an automation that triggers the campaign. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, and one thing that I don't think I mentioned earlier, just while we're talking about text messages, you can use SalesNexus, like you've noticed, I'm sure, when you're on a list view like this, you can click and it'll dial your phone. When you're on a given contact, same thing. There's a little call link next to every phone number. It'll work with any phone system that you can install on your computer. So, a lot of them call it a soft phone. Whatever your default phone application is on your computer, when you click this link, that's what will get dialed with that phone number. So you can use anything you want. However, if you want to send the automated text messages like we looked at earlier, you have to use RingCentral. That's the only platform that we've integrated for the text messages. So just a quick note there. What I'd recommend is go start yourself a RingCentral account if you don't already have a system that you're in love with. And, they have a free trial, and you can just try it out and see if it works for you. Let's see. What else? Other questions?
When you're setting up the DKIM, how do you get to the DNS hosting service?
That depends that's outside of SalesNexus. It just depends on where you registered your domain, basically. So a really, like it might be GoDaddy, or it might be Google in some cases. But whoever owns the domain, whoever, kind of set it up, they'll have the log on to that. And that's how you get in there.
Okay, because it's telling me that your DNS is not configured properly.
You mean in SalesNexus?
Yes.
Like when you go to the setup.
Like when I'm trying to set up the DKIM, I put the URL, the domain name in, and then I got the code. I copied it. I've tried to validate, and that's when it said it failed.
Yeah, you got to
put
the
reasons
you
are.
have to open this article right here and take a look at that. You have to paste this code into your DNS as a text record.
Okay, so what is a DNS is what I'd be asking there.
It stands for domain name service. And so
okay,
it's basically wherever your website or your domain is registered. So this is outside of SalesNexus. You had to copy this code in SalesNexus, then go log on to your DNS service and create this text record. So if you don't own the domain,
company would have that information.
Yeah, they're the owner or your IT guy or your marketing person or somebody like that probably has the info you need.
Okay.
Let's see. The other thing I was going to be sure we talked about a little bit is the reporting. So if you go here to the main menu, dashboards, you'll have a kind of a default built-in dashboard. But what you want to get to is some kind of a dashboard like this that has, all the metrics that you need to keep your eyes on, right? And the important thing to know is that all of this can be customized, just like everything else in SalesNexus, so that it's using your custom fields, right? So, here's an example of, which policies do I have renewing in the coming months or something like that, right? Or pipeline, how many customers do I have at each stage in my sales pipeline? Or leads or whatever by sales rep. But I can change any of these and start adding more detail to it by going here to dashboards, create and edit dashboards, and then you choose the dashboard, which is the page. Each dashboard has 9 graphs on it. And then you choose the graph. And now we can start playing around with the criteria. So here I have it set to just break down how many leads does each sales rep have. Well, maybe I want to filter that and say, maybe based on, instead of sales rep, I want to do it based on, let's see. The type of building that they're in or something like that. One of your custom fields, right? I don't know what we're going to get here when I do that, but yeah, you can see now I'm seeing the different values that we have in that field, right? So it's pretty easy to create these graphs. So they're showing you exactly what you need to see in your business. So it goes back to where we started, right? It's all about deciding what are those fields that you're going to use to organize everything. And then, really you can do anything you need to. But don't get too caught up on getting everything right in the beginning. You can always add more fields later, So my advice is always keep it as simple as you can, and add things once you've driven the car around the block a few times and you start to realize what's really important. The other thing to mention while we're here, you notice over here, push dashboard to users. So once you have a graph that you've created and you go, wow, this is awesome, I really want to make sure my sales team is looking at this same graph, right? Well, you go here and you choose the right users and you hit push, And now they're going to see the same graph on their dashboards, right? The same thing is true of the layouts. When you're laying out all those fields on the customer screen, you can go here, organize and customize, and apply my layouts to users. And I can choose specific tabs that we created and say, I want these salespeople to see those tabs, right? And apply those out to them. So you can kind of get things squared away in SalesNexus. And then once you really like the way you've got it all laid out, push that out to everybody else. So they're seeing the same thing you are. What else? Other questions?
Oh, shit. That could be me.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I almost forgot one thing that always people want to see and ask about. So real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. I know it's Friday and everybody wants to get on with their weekend. The contact enrichment. So when you go here to contacts, view all contacts, any list that you're looking at, you'll see this little green up button. So what's going to happen when I click this is it's going to check with our B2B contact database and see if we have any additional information about these contacts that you don't have in your database, right? So when I click here, I say, okay. And now it's going to come back and tell me it found all 5 of them. And it's going to fill in missing phone numbers and addresses and emails, personal emails, you can see over here, mobile numbers, employees, revenue, social links, all kinds of data. So that's available, built into SalesNexus, no additional cost. Everybody gets between 100 and 300 credits per month, depending on your subscription level, to do that for any contact you want to. And then when you're looking at an individual customer or contact, you see the same green button that will let you just update this one customer at a time instead of a whole list. The fact that this one's gray tells me that we've already done it for Michelle. So that's how you do the contact enrichment. And also I'll quickly mention, we're going to be doing another webinar on Wednesday next week where we're going to dive into that B2B contact database. So if you're looking to build new lists by searching by industry or title or whatever, that be sure and join us for that, because we're going to dive into that real in a lot of detail. Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for all of your attention and time. And if we can help with anything, please reach out, support@salesnexus.com. And then we'll be doing this again next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So join us again if you have any questions or anything.
Thank you.
Everybody,
Thank you so much.
have a great weekend.